Okay, welcome everybody. This is Suitcase Divas episode 16. We are talking about New York City, and my name is Denise Diabaldi with Redbirds Travel.
And I'm Cheryl Garcia with ABCD Adventures.
Yeah, so let's go there. We went there, and now we're on the cruise, but New York City is amazing. It's gorgeous, but busy, busy, busy. So we flew from Charlotte, North Carolina up to LaGuardia. And thank goodness for TSA pre-check because the line, it was quick, and we had an early flight, right, Cheryl?
Yeah, we were departing at 7
Yeah,
a.m.
7 a.m. So we arrived at the airport around like 6, something, 5 something, 5:56.
It was about 5:30 when we parked.
We had to park.
Yeah, and then take the shuttle because we were doing long-term parking. Yeah.
But it was crazy busy, and I almost felt like, you know how you get the fast passes at Disney?
Yes.
There's a huge line at the security check, and we're like breezing through the little zigzagging of the line. So TSA pre-check was amazing.
I will say though, one thing, because the perk of the TSA pre-check was you don't have to take
Remove
out
your
your
shoes, you don't have to,
laptop or your liquids, but I had to remove my shoes.
I'm surprised about that.
Because I was wearing, like the thigh-high boots, and they had a zipper and a buckle. Or knee-high. I mean, sorry, not thigh-high. I was even pointing to my calf, like I meant calf.
No worries,
calf
no
boots.
worries. I just didn't want you guys to think she thought she was going somewhere in her thigh highs.
Yeah, no, I meant my calf. I was even literally, but anyway. So when I went through, they did not have us go through the X-ray ones.
I went through fine.
We went through the regular one. And normally when I've gone through that, if something has set it off, they'll wand you. But no, they made me go back, take off my boots, go to the back of the line to go back through.
That's not very nice.
No, because
I was wondering where the fuck you were. I had all your luggage and everything.
All my stuff, was already through. If
you were traveling alone, your stuff would have been sitting out there. Your purse, your Apple Watch, your cell phone.
Right.
Everything was in that little bucket, and I got it all, and I was just like looking.
So I will say I do. Well, as TSA in general, that part was a little chaotic. It was early. They had just opened that line. They were having miscommunication between the agents, but it did absolutely go faster. Just be aware, you may still have to take off your shoes. So wear your socks, wear your whatever you would normally do. Don't think you can just get away with not taking off your shoes. Because me and actually a couple other people did who were selectively chosen.
Weird.
I saw
that is very odd, but yeah,
we still got through way faster.
Faster.
Yes, 4-1 for TSA pre-check.
Yeah, and so everything when we got out of the there was a couple cute fountains in LaGuardia. It was a nice airport. First time I've ever been to LaGuardia.
Me too. But we booked it through there. We really didn't stay
we didn't. Well, I mean, we had a cruise to go on or a trip to be taken. So it's not like we're just hanging at the airport. But then we were on to our hotel. We were like, okay, what's the best method to get? So it's supposed to be like a 20-minute commute to get from LaGuardia we were at the Sheraton in Times Square. We got the fantastic rate for our travel agent discount, which was great. So when we were like, everybody was headed for the Ubers. So we looked at the Ubers and it said $76. So I was like, well, let's look at the yellow cab taxi. We'll just take a taxi. It's got to be cheaper, right? Wrong.
It did say it was going to be cheaper. I will say it was easier to navigate to the taxis because the Uber
and we got right in. There was no line.
And the Uber lot was very confusing. We weren't sure where to go.
It was like under a bridge or something. It was
under the
carport.
Yeah, but it was
anyway. We opted for the yellow taxi cab, and it ended up being like $80, and then they added on a 20% tip. I tried to because I felt uneasy about it. It seemed to me like it was taking too long. By the way, it took 40 minutes instead of 20. And instead of being like $40-$50, it was 80, and then they charged us a 20% tip. So I'm not sure if he hosed us, which the people that we talked to in the lounge today that we absolutely were hosed. But it's hard when you don't know where you're going or like how long it should take outside of Googling it. But yeah, so that happened. But we got there. Check-in's not till 4 p.m.
At the Sheraton. That is
I think it's pretty late. We asked if we could get an early check-in, And the guy at the front desk was like, yeah, you should be able to get an early check-in. We'll call you. We have your cell phone number. We'll call you when your room is ready. So I was like hopeful about that. Because guys, like I said, our flight was 7. We arrived at like 9:30, 10, and they did check our bags. They did store our bags, which was helpful so that we could go about in the city. But yeah, so around 1-ish, they still hadn't called. And so we did go back to the hotel because we got a bit lost wandering around.
Yes.
It's very confusing if you're not from around here. Um, or we ended up walking over 8 miles that day, right?
But we got back to the hotel to check on the room to see if we could get in because we needed to freshen up. We were tired.
Right. And there was a Starbucks there, and Cheryl wanted some coffee. And then they had these select bottles of Robert Mondavi Cab Sauv. And it was pretty decent. It was only $13 for
about a half bottle, you'd say? Half size bottle?
It was easily 2 big glasses of wine. It was so pretty reasonable. And then so we refueled and then we did go to the front desk and ask if we could check in. And I explained that I did not get a call. The guy was like, oh, yeah, sure, no problem. And he got us in. So I kind of wish we had gone earlier. We were trying to be polite. And we have learned.
Don't be polite in New York.
Right.
That was from the locals.
Yes.
Telling us that.
Yes. Just so you know, we're not stereotyping. This is what the locals told us.
Or assuming that we should be rude tourists. They're telling us stop being
They don't
so
like
polite.
it. Yeah. They said we were pushovers and we were too polite. Well, so I mean it is what it is. But yeah, so we
went up to our room.
Mm-hmm.
Our room was, it's a New York room, so they're obviously smaller than a hotel you find elsewhere. It was still a very decent sized room.
You know, I was just realizing, and was our floor on 11 there too? And our cruise floor's on 11?
I think it was 17.
Oh, maybe it was. Yeah. It was high up anyway. It was a pretty high up room.
And it was a decent sized room. There were 2 of us. We had a queen size bed.
The elevator was really slow though. And it had a wonky elevator system. You guys, if you get into the elevator, there's no buttons on the inside to push any floor. So when you go there, there's like a keypad, and you push what floor you want, and then it'll send you to one of a few different.
There was like 6 elevators.
Yeah,
maybe?
6 different elevators. And so then based on what floor you were pushing, you had to go stand by L2, L4, or something like that, and it would bring you up to where you were going or down to where you're going. But it was just really weird to get in the elevator and then not have any buttons on the inside. That was pretty different for us.
And the elevator was a struggle because also when you went in, you didn't know if you were getting in the right elevator because it didn't tell you what floor it was going to. So that was a problem. It was only on the inside trim of the elevator door.
Very small, yeah.
Yeah, so we all struggled. Everybody struggled with the elevators.
And people were commenting on how it didn't make sense because even on the inside of the elevator, it would show like L11, and then it would show you're on the 12th floor outside, even though the inside of the elevator showed L11. Like, it was weird.
Because I think it was remodeled, but they kept the original a little, or some of the historic stuff. It was confusing.
Yeah, it was pretty confusing.
And then so we get to like I said, I think the room itself was nice. We had plenty of outlets. The bathroom, the shower was great.
Yeah, water pressure and was amazing.
Was good. Mm-hmm. Then the one thing was there was a event going on, a private event, so the restaurant downstairs wasn't available.
We couldn't do breakfast
or
other
lunch.
than the Starbucks. You can go to the Starbucks and just get coffee and basic needs, but
and the other thing to note is as Denise said, we were sitting around the Starbucks and we were kind of just working while we were waiting to get into our room, and she got the $13 bottle of wine. We went back that evening to get some wine. They did not have those bottles. They only had the bigger bottles, and the prices were way
like
more.
$30, yeah.
Yeah, starting at 30. So if you wanted a decent bottle, you were paying 50 to 60. So there was a big difference. They did not offer those $13 bottle of wine in the evening. That was something to note.
Well, so the thing is, they do charge, and this is very common in Florida, New York, all the big cities, they did charge us like a $35 service fee or hotel tax when
Right.
we got there, but he said that we could have a $30 hotel credit, like
On food and
for food and
beverage.
beverage. So we were planning to get a bottle of wine that evening when we got back from our walkabout.
Mhm.
But then it was everything, all the prices were jacked up, and that wasn't even open, or maybe it was, but we were just like, this is ridiculous. It was really hard to find wine. We actually ended up buying a bottle of wine at a friggin' deli shop.
That we found off the beaten path on
Yeah.
one of our circle arounds because we kept getting lost.
Yeah, we
The
did.
one thing about check-in, and actually the whole time we were there, from check-in and the couple times we went down, we talked to the concierge, like we were exploring a little bit. The
Everybody was very
majority, oh, they
nice.
absolutely were, but the
Yeah.
majority of the time, they only had one person working the check-in desk. And he
Yeah.
told us,
It gets up to 2 hours long.
and which I thought was kind of interesting to only have one worker on a
Right.
Friday. We were checking in on
Yeah,
Friday,
that's ridiculous.
and it was a very, I mean, we were waiting 20, 30 minutes.
Yeah, it was a long wait even for, and we were like 3 people back. So
Right.
I can't imagine it'd be 2 hours if
Yeah.
you're like 20 people deep.
But overall, like the hotel was really nice, great
I'm
location.
glad we paid our agent price versus like $1,000 a night though, because
Right,
that
I
is
agree.
crazy.
But I did
It
scope
was a
out,
beautiful location though, like super close to Times Square.
but I did scope out some side one because we were on one of the
North
main
7th
roads.
Avenue.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
when we were walking around, I scoped out some other hotels that I thought would be a little bit more off the beaten path because we heard everything
Mhm.
all night. So there were really
But
nice
that's New York,
hotels.
Cheryl. That's New York.
But I think
You hear
if
the
we
sirens,
had
you hear that all.
I kept in mind some of the hotels that were off the side, you wouldn't have heard the bikes, what are those?
It's the city that never sleeps.
Yeah. But I was thinking about for clients that bring family or little kids, there were other places that they could have stayed that were just as close and just as nice, but not right on that main to
I
get
hear
away
you.
from that
I
noise.
feel that. Yeah.
So then let's talk about us exploring New York City, as it was my first time. Denise had been there before.
Yeah.
So
So I took her to Times Square, which is very touristy, but it's amazing if you've never seen it, correct, Cheryl? What was your first impression?
oh, it was beautiful. I love that kind of, I just love the atmosphere, the vibe of different places. And the first thing you pick up on, because this was early in the morning, so it wasn't as crowded as it was
At
that
night, it gets bananas.
It was very, I think, comfortable in the morning. Most of the day we were walking around the crowd. It was
I
slightly
think
crowded.
it's overstimulus. Like it's the lights, the people, the like especially at night. You feel like you're a salmon trying to swim upstream against the current of all the other salmons coming down. You know what I mean?
I
Like
agree with that because I felt like
you're bumping into people and you literally have to bob and weave.
no
That's
matter what direction we were
no
going
matter
in,
what.
I felt like we were going the wrong way against the crowd. But
And we kept saying, sorry, I'm sorry, excuse
pardon,
me,
yeah.
pardon me.
Are you okay? Did you drop something?
We learned from the locals, they don't like it when you say that. And you become a target when you say that. So they say, keep walking, even if you bump somebody, just keep walking. Don't apologize because everybody knows that you're a tourist and then you're more of a target. So we did learn that today. And so now we know for next time.
And it was really nice. I thought the whole thing, I loved it. I absolutely loved it. I think the reason why we kept getting lost was because we would just be looking up and looking around to everything. So we would miss our turn when we were following the directions. And we also did get turned around a couple times.
I will
So
say, a highlight for me was, so we did encounter the street performers. What did you think of that,
that
Cheryl?
was really neat. And because we happened to get there, we actually thought it was going to be a flash mob.
I know we did, and a group started forming and they had like music and these guys were stretching and warming up. They ended up being street performers that did like break dancing, flips,
Yeah,
that type of deal. It was very entertaining. I did
wish
do a
I
live.
had their name so that we could have tagged them.
You can go to my live on my personal Facebook, Denise Diabaldi, and see the live because they were very entertaining. The other thing that was amazing was the Christian Dior. I hope I'm
Yes.
saying that right. On the side of the building, they had this amazing light show with like flowers, and it looked almost like a compass for a travel compass, but
Yeah.
it had light
Or
shows
a
going
clock.
through it. Yeah, It was amazing. And it was like a 2 minute show, but it was so colorful, so vibrant. It went along with music.
And they replay it every few minutes. So if you
It was
catch it.
impressive.
It was
Again,
absolutely.
we're gonna post that on our Suitcase
So I will
Divas
say
podcast.
that what because that was gorgeous, and I think a really nice hidden gem that we found weren't
Mhm.
expecting.
Right.
Because I will say, going into New York City at Christmas time for the first time, I was really excited to see the Times or the Rockefeller Center Christmas tree. And I'll tell you, my first impression when we walked up to it was like, this is it. This is it was very
It was
underwhelmed,
underwhelming. Yeah.
and it was overrated, all the rave
But you know what?
reviews.
I will say we came in through the backside. Maybe if you were over by the ice skating rink, but they had it all blocked off and
It was
roped
very
off.
hard to
You
get
couldn't
to,
get,
yeah.
yeah, so we couldn't really get, so we were coming from the backside.
I just think that there were
People
gorgeous
hype it up. Yeah.
Christmas trees elsewhere as you
What it was,
walked around.
the lot or something, the Lots Hotel or something, like the Lux Hotel, the Lot
No, it was
Hotel.
it started with L. We'll post the link
Yeah,
of
and
where it was.
they had a gorgeous tree and they had all kinds of Christmas decorations. I think that one would be more suited for pictures and there won't be as many people out and about there. Um, but yeah, it was exactly what I remember. Just the hustle, the bustle, the millions of people all clustered and just walking super packed, super close together.
Yeah.
But it is magical, and the lights of all the different billboards, and
It was gorgeous. I didn't mind the crowd. I think now that I know, I would navigate differently.
we totally lucked out with weather because
Oh
normally it could be
yes.
snowing, it could be windy, it was pretty decent. I had on my puffer vest, I had on my hat, my boots, but it was not super cold like it can be.
It was comfortable and kind of overcast, but the sun was poking through quite a bit. It was actually
But
a gorgeous day
even
for
at
December.
night, it was
Yeah,
like what, in the 40s or 50s, something
right.
like that.
So we did actually attempt to take the subway.
A failed attempt.
First we were trying to find the specific thing. If you've ever been on one like a subway or a metro in another, I've done it in DC, I've done it in Charlotte, the uptown one. It's very different in New York. You have to find the specific
Yeah,
one. You can't just jump
you
on
have to
it.
either down the like OMNY app or you have to buy a Metro
Well, I mean,
card.
just trying to figure out
It was not easy.
which one to go into because
Yes.
there were different lines.
Different lines, different colors.
And then we walked down in there and not knowing how to pay to get through, you do the app like Denise said, or you have to buy the card. You can't. And then
You can't just show up and like ding your card and get on.
we looked at buying the card, but it doesn't tell you like how much it costs to get from this. I didn't know where to find that info. Like that's something we'd have to definitely research.
You need to research before you plan to get on the subway, is what we're trying to say.
Absolutely.
Don't just show up and think that you're freaking hopping on there because that's not going to happen.
Yeah. What else did we do? So let's see.
Yeah, overall, I mean, it was a really great experience. And then we're excited. Oh, so I will say upon checkout, our elevator stopped working on the morning of checkout.
Yes, that
and
was
we were on
rough.
the 17th floor. So that was a problem because we have two huge suitcases we were getting ready and a carry-on, like a personal item. So we did not have a luggage rack. Oh, I will say they will not give you a luggage rack. There's a doorman that you have to pay that if you hustle him down, you can get your luggage on a cart. But then you have to tip and do all that. So there's no available luggage carts just for you to have to use on your own. But that was pretty challenging.
And I ended up having to go through a service corridor. The security took me to a service elevator one time that morning because I had gone down to get coffee. And when I was coming back up, there were a bunch of us waiting. They took us to the service elevator and dropped us off at our floor where we came out through the housekeeping entrance. But then no one escorted us there. So I got very turned around getting out of the housekeeping hallway into the regular hallway, not even knowing where I was on that floor. It took me a minute to find that.
I thought I was going to get stuck in the elevator, which is one of my biggest fears, by the way. I am quite claustrophobic, which was also a problem, an issue in New York. just being that close to that many people and weaving in and out of people, I was feeling a bit overstimulated by the end of that, day.
Yeah.
And we had gotten up at like 2 o'clock in the morning.
Right.
It had been a long day.
So at checkout, or we're actually that morning when we woke up, you noticed a charge because you would use your card to secure our room.
Yeah, 3:15 in the morning, they charged me an extra $150.
170 something. 'Cause this was a
107,
red flag.
173. Yeah. And I was like, well,
That was an odd number.
it was weird.
And it was in the middle of the night that they did that. So we
Right.
went down to talk to the front desk, and they assured us it was just the hold, but she even
She said it's
commented,
150 for incidentals, and I'm like, well, mine was 173. Is that the same thing? And she's like, oh yeah, I'll talk to our people about it. But
Yeah,
so I'm gonna follow up with that. That is a bit shady.
but she did say that it was unusual and she was gonna talk to them. So what we're saying is always check your bill.
Yeah, because when we were down at the Starbucks, there was a kid down there that was buying a coffee or whatever, and he's like, just charge it to my room.
And
So
he shouted out his room number. So, and they didn't verify.
they did not verify. So then that's why I was thinking, like, did they get one of those good bottles of wine?
I
and I'm
know,
paying for
right?
it?
And we had to scrounge around.
Well, anyway, but
overall, if you're gonna stay for the first time and you don't have like a lot, that hotel, I will say, and I don't know if this is normal for New York City, but there wasn't a lot of space in the actual hotel lobby or anything like that for you to congregate. You were either in the Starbucks and people were hovering waiting for those spots, which that might be normal at most hotels there. There wasn't a lot of space.
yeah.
So, and then the restaurant being closed, I would absolutely check on that for clients, make sure if they want to have dinner there.
Maybe call the front desk and see if there's events going on. But it is Christmas time. I think that was a holiday party.
It was, yeah.
I think that's just the hustle and the bustle of New York City. So just maybe call ahead, and it's always better to know and be proactive. Or if you book through us, we as
do that
travel
part for
agents
you.
could do that for you.
So then we had to figure out, okay, we struggled with this. Do we taxi or do we Uber from the hotel to the Brooklyn cruise terminal? And we went back and forth looking at the prices, and a friend who is local there, just said, suck it up and do the Uber. So that's what we ended up doing.
Oh, and there was also another thing called ride share. But then we found out that's like we're riding with strangers, and not that there's anything wrong with that, but then it could be lengthier because they're making multiple stops of the different people that you're sharing the ride with along the way. And we were trying to save time. So we're like, let's have enough Uber
space because we had so much luggage.
We know Uber.
Yeah.
Us little suburbia girls from Charlotte, North Carolina, Concord, North Carolina. So we opted to Uber, and oh my God, it was the best because Jay was amazing.
He was a local,
born and raised in Brooklyn. And he told us all kinds of good stuff on the drive from the hotel to the Brooklyn terminal for us to port out of. So he was super, super nice. And
it actually was a lot cheaper. I think the distance is the same.
I think we got
mileage. So the Uber turned out to be, even with the generous tip, the Uber turned out to be way cheaper than the yellow taxi. So
yeah, I will say
our plan is we're
going to try to find Jay again to get back when we get back to
the port.
Brooklyn. We're going to use him to get back to the airport.
So we'll let you know if that works out, because that's our hope, is we can secure
if
Jay.
You find a good driver, you need to kind of stick with that driver, because the first guy was not a good driver.
So now we survived New York as far as following around, and we made it through. We didn't get, like Denise said, we did almost, it was like over 18,000 steps.
Yeah, over 8 miles. Yeah.
Yeah. All in the Times Square area because we kept getting turned. I wish I could see the little map.
To see, and we were walking around a lot. We were exploring a lot.
We were out the whole time, so it was well worth it. But now we are currently on our cruise, and we are we've been having a great time on the ship. We've met all kinds of new people, and everybody's so nice, and we're having a great time. We did do training seminar at sea the last 2 days. We have been in trainings. But now we're not finished with training. Tomorrow we're going to the yacht club. So that's the elite level. Yeah, for the next couple episodes, we'll be highlighting what it was like to be cruising on this new it was not new
Yeah,
it's new to us.
this is our first time on MSC, and it is different from some of the other cruise ships, some good, some bad. I mean, and
So
that's
make
why
sure
we're
you
here.
stay tuned and we'll fill you in on that. Also follow us on our socials so that you can see our adventures while they're happening.
Suitcase Divas podcast on Facebook
And Suitcase Divas just
Instagram and TikTok. Yes.
And suitcasedivas.com if you want to find all of our episodes.
Absolutely. And we are finding new friends to want to listen to our podcast every day. So we hope that you find this helpful, and we will see you the next episode. Have a great night, guys.
Bye.